Hello my fellow family foodie friends. Today I'm sharing with you applesauce made two ways. My kids will eat this applesauce all day, every day, and the first version is very healthy. So I have 3 pounds of apples, that was 14. It fills up the halfway line on my Instant Pot. I've added 3/4 of a cup of water. I'm also adding 3/4 of a cup of apple cider. Don't fret, if you don't have apple cider, you can just do 1.5 cups of water and it still turns out really good. I would just maybe throw in a little more cinnamon, some nutmeg if you want, but with the cider and then a teaspoon of cinnamon, this is perfect. Put it in your Instant Pot, set it for 8 minutes. Once the 8 minutes of pressure is done, you can go ahead and release the pressure. You saw I did it at 7 minutes later just because I was busy, and this is what you're going to be left with. I take my handy dandy favorite tool, the immersion blender. I have used this in tomato soups, in shakes, and now in applesauce. I love this tool. I bought it on Black Friday many moons ago, and I still use it years later. It is my favorite, and it is so cute because it's a teal color, which is my favorite. So this step is not completely necessary to go as fine as I make it. I like my applesauce to be like a jarred applesauce, except for taste like homemade, if that makes sense. I like it smooth. I like to pick it up with a spoon, and I do not like chunks. If I'm gonna have chunky sweet apples, you better give it to me in a crust and call it apple pie. But my husband really likes chunky applesauce. My kids, thankfully, are on team smooth applesauce, so I get to blend this baby up to smithereens. So I'm just showing you the consistency here. It's pretty soupy, but once it sits overnight, the next day it's going to be a little thicker from sitting overnight, but it is perfectly delicious to eat just like this. And I'll be honest, if you want it a little thicker right from the get-go, just add a little less water, a little less cider. This recipe is extremely fluid, and you got to find what works best for you. Once I have the applesauce made and blended, I add my Instant Pot lid, my absolute favorite Instant Pot accessory. It's linked below, and I let it just sit on warm until I'm ready to serve it. And here I am about probably 20 minutes later, scooping up my very first bowl. This is the perfect addition to any fall meal. My kids will always gobble it up, my husband too, and like I said, leftovers are amazing of it. And now we're gonna move on to the red hot version. So this is obviously not as healthy. You do the same recipe, whether you do all water or water and cider, and you add in 1/2 box to a box of Red Hots. I always go for more. My kids love this version of the applesauce. It's sweet and it's very cinnamony. So if you do the Red Hots, do not add a teaspoon of cinnamon because you just don't need it. And those are the two versions. My kids love both of them. My husband prefers the non-Red Hot version. But thank you so much for watching, and if you're an Instant Pot lover, make sure you check out my apple crumble. It has apples and pumpkins, and it's the perfect fall treat, and if you already use your Instant Pot, I know you're gonna love it. Chow down and chow!